People say living on Mars is impossible, but I disagree, and we're going to do it using only letters. But this time, instead of only giving you one choice of letter to take, you're allowed to bring multiple. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, straight up building Martian roller coasters. Let's start with the basics, a place to live. O has got to be the obvious option for living arrangements. It's completely sealed and symmetrical from all angles, meaning it's perfect for holding a pressurized atmosphere, namely due to the even air spread internally. Basically, it's not going to end up immediately imploding and squishing you into a red paste. Now, you might be worried about the shape being too round on the outside. I mean, how many Earth buildings do you see that are completely spherical with no base supports? And here on Mars, don't forget, you've got 100-mile-an-hour winds to contend with, constantly threatening to roll you away like a sad little tumbleweed. Well, in reality, this is hardly the case. Because Mars's atmosphere is extremely thin, these fast winds carry very little physical force and would only feel like a light breeze to a human standing on the surface. So nothing to fear there. And yeah, it's only got one room, but it's only you living here anyway, and on the whole planet. So it's not as if you need any privacy. If you ask me, the next most important thing is food. Sure, you had a couple of supplies to last you a few days, but they're running low. So we need a more permanent solution. Now, because of Mars's lack of atmosphere, planting crops in the open isn't viable. They too will need to be pressurized. So using the letter M as a farm works wonders. It would have to be made of strong glass, but underneath it, it's an ideal flat ground greenhouse with ample separated space for different types of crop. Oh yeah, gonna grow me some chicken tendy plants. But wait a minute, you can't grow crops and chicken tendy plants without water. What are you, stupid? So get your tea pickaxe out. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Why the hell are we getting mining tools involved before we've even got water? Well, that's the reason. It doesn't rain on Mars, so you got to find water yourself. Underground. If you mine just below the rocky surface, you'll find ice deposits, aka water that's been sitting there for hundreds of millions of years. You see, it's all the result of ancient volcanic activity and dramatic— Oh, what's that? You don't care. You just want to see cool letters on Mars? Okay, never mind. We all know water is just as important as food. Actually, wait, it's probably more important, right? But anyway, take that ice that you mined up and fill the letter Q right to the brim. Now, you see that sticky out part of Q? Yeah, the sticky out part, very scientific terminology, I know. That's actually going to act as our faucet for all of our water needs. So let's just install it into the side of our O bunker, and oh yeah, it's all coming together. But wait, we have a problem. Right now, it's just solid ice. It's minus 80 degrees out on the surface, and that ice is not turning into running water anytime soon. If we want actual water instead of a decorative ice sculpture, we're going to need to heat it up. That's where I comes in. To melt the ice, we're going to need to heat it. And to get heat, we're going to need another type of energy. Luckily, the sun is just handing out free light energy to anyone in the solar system. So to collect it, we can construct a load of these eye-shaped solar panels to catch all of those tasty rays of sunshine. Tastes like unlimited power. Now all you got to do is convert that light energy into electricity, which solar panels do automatically using things called photovoltaic cells? I don't know, I'm not a scientist. And voila, the newly generated electricity powers the electric heater, which conveniently is the shape of some N's in a row. And not only does that keep you nice and toasty, but it also heats that ice you collected, and now you have a fully functional drinking tap and shower. Yeah, life in space isn't exactly luxurious. Things have to be multifunctional, okay? But yeah, this is such an upgrade from trying to lick the ice to hydrate. You know how many times my tongue got stuck to that thing? A cool fact I should also point out is that now you're generating heat. As you melt those polar ice caps, you're actually releasing the carbon dioxide into the air, slowly generating, and you might have guessed, a man-made atmosphere. So, in a couple of 100 years, you might even be able to breathe out here with no helmet on. But for now, just keep it on. Don't want your brains getting sucked out through your ears. Speaking of things that aren't glamorous, we all need to go to the toilet. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're Sol Goodman or Sydney Sweeney, we all gotta make the poops. And on Mars, you can't exactly just dig a hole outside and call it a day, because opening the door every time someone needs the toilet is probably not great for the whole keeping the air inside thing. And without animating it in too much detail, this is how it would work. You can probably see how Y would be be easy enough to sit on and do, your business, and then let the chute on the bottom eject the waste out of the base. But hold the phone, we're in space now. Nothing is allowed to go to waste, even waste. So instead of firing our poop into the Martian wilderness like some sort of disgusting confetti cannon, we're going to collect it. You may or may not be familiar with the fact that our own waste is actually full of nitrogen, something that plants need to grow, and it's very hard to come by on Mars. It's not just floating around like it is on Earth, it's a valuable resource that needs to be recycled. So, and yeah, I'm colouring the waste purple because it's less gross that way, but that waste gets collected in a massive U, where it's processed and then used to fertilise those crops you're growing in that M greenhouse. Doesn't that just really put you off eating those potatoes you grew earlier? Okay, so you've started collecting quite a few things now. You've got food, water, other stuff, and it's starting to get a bit cramped in the O with all the produce. So this big A-frame exterior storage unit is the ideal thing for keeping all the extra bits and pieces nice and organised and out the way. It's even got separate compartments just to make that OCD side of your brain happy. Oh, so much organisation. I could cry. Oh yeah, just make sure you don't keep the fresh drinking water and your own homemade fertiliser next to each other. That's got to be a health code violation. You ever watch Futurama? Okay, well, that tube transport system they have? No, not like the tube as in the London Underground, but literal tubes that humans walk into and are sucked from one location to another. It's essentially like the full-size version of a pneumatic mail tube that they used to use in the 19th century. Stay with me now. What if S was like that system? A completely enclosed and airtight tube that you walk in one side and are then transported to an entirely different location, say one of your external storage rooms or even another O base entirely. This would be the ideal short-distance solution. If you were lazy enough, you could even just chuck in stuff to clear some clutter out the way, saving you the time and effort of having to go with it. Although, saying that, you would create a massive mess on the other side. But that's tomorrow's problem. Only caveat I can think of here is you should try to enter the tube feet first. Otherwise, when you come out of the other side at high speed, you're definitely snapping your neck. And that's Earth's terraforming mission over for another couple hundred years. You moron. And lastly, you're going to need a way to rock around the dunes. For if you need to go further than just a couple hundred meters in a tube, think about if you're going to need to travel vast distances in search of new resources. Well, H is the ideal chassis for a Martian rover, although you will need some huge wheels to go with that, so we'll go full circle, excuse the pun, and use O again to give it some nice fat tyres. Also, because it has so much ground clearance with those long axles, it's the kind of vehicle you'd absolutely need for traversing the rugged terrain. Makes a Dodge Raptor look like a little Lego truck. You can also install F as a parking garage, park the whip underneath, and trust me, this is going to keep this thing a whole lot cleaner from all that dust blowing about. That way you won't have to clean it every time you want to go exploring. And that's it. That's your letter home away from home, with all the gadgets, comforts, and necessities you'd need.